off the floor. Here's the Joker against Gobert. Cross to the left. Hits the 16-footer.
At the start of the NBA season, Nikola Jokic looked scarier than anything the league had ever seen before. Until the day something that had never happened to him happened.
50 points this year. Haken. Ooh. Kalal put it in softly.
Way for the first half to end here in Miami. All of Mile High Denver right now holding their breath.
On his first game back, it looked like nothing had changed. But then it started happening. The turnovers, delayed reads, and footwork that looked rusty. This version of the Joker would not be able to save Denver come the playoffs, unless something happened. That thing happened when Jokic faced off against the best defender on the planet. But if you paid attention to only the win and points, then you've missed. Here is why the most scary version of Nikola Jokic is back. Before the injury, Jokic wasn't just leading the MVP race, he was separating from it. He was controlling every part of the game at once, scoring efficiently, rebounding everything, and orchestrating the offense to perfection. The Nuggets were winning, even while dealing with injuries across the roster, because Jokic made everything function. Then, the knee injury against Miami changed the team's rhythm. However, something unexpected happened. The Nuggets went 10-6 without him as Jamal Murray and the role players stepped up. On the night of Jokic's return, everything seemed back to normal, but time gradually exposed the cracks. The timing was slightly off, and the decision-making wasn't as sharp. Soon, the turnovers started to climb as well, and of course, teams noticed it, adjusted, and took advantage. Coach David Adelman saw what they were doing too when he said, "Yeah, I would say the main theme of those games is when the other guys have to take more responsibility to bring the ball up. Teams that put a small forward on a center that doesn't allow Nikola to bring the ball up the floor. I think there's a lot of times we put him in compromised situations out on the floor," Adelman admitted. Finally, it seemed the league had found an answer to the Joker. They now put smaller, quicker players on him to pressure him higher up the court. But this only worked because of a lingering issue that was affecting Jokic. I mean, he won't admit it, but it's bothering him. It really is. I think he's shooting the ball sometimes to see where he's at with it nightly. Now, for the first time all season, there was doubt. Not about whether Jokic was great, but about whether he was still the same player. Because during that stretch, the Nuggets weren't just inconsistent, they looked worse than they did without him. But things were about to get worse. On March 18th against the Memphis Grizzlies, a struggling and weak team, Nikola Jokic played his worst game yet, and it became the clearest sign that something was wrong. Jokic finished with 29 points, 14 rebounds, and 9 assists, which looks dominant at first glance. But the game told a completely different story. He turned the ball over 10 times, matching the entire Grizzlies team by himself. Possessions that normally ended in clean looks turned into rush decisions and loose passes. The Nuggets lost 125-118 in a game they were expected to control. That performance pushed the conversation into full panic. Fans started questioning whether the injury had changed him. Analysts began pointing out the rising turnovers and the drop in efficiency. The idea that had quietly been building now became louder. Something about Jokic was off, and the teams were beginning to exploit it. What made it even more real was that Jokic himself did not deny it. Then he said something even more telling. This was a confirmation of what everyone had been seeing. He was not fully back yet. But he fully came back not long after that, toward the end of March. Little by little, the timing came back, the rhythm was returning, and the hesitation was disappearing. And the results followed right behind it. He hit a game-winning floater against Phoenix. The very next night, he put up 23 points, 21 rebounds, and 19 assists against Dallas. The version of Jokic that had looked uncertain just days earlier was gone. And in its place was something that looked even more controlled than before the injury. But the real test was about to come, because right in the middle of that surge, he ran into the one player in the league built to stop him. By the way, guys, this seems like the perfect time to let you know that we're now offering more than just videos to you. We're now building a real community here on YouTube. So, don't just watch, be a part of it. Join our membership today and get early access to videos and level up with discounted merch. But now, back to the video. Now, the San Antonio Spurs were not just another team at that point in the season. They were on an 11-game win streak and playing with real momentum. More importantly, they had something no other team in the league could offer. They had Victor Wembanyama. On paper, Wembanyama is the exact type of player designed to disrupt everything Jokic does. He has the length to contest floaters without fouling, the mobility to stay in front of drives, and the instincts to recover even when he is out of position. That is what made this matchup so important. And early in the game, that impact was clear. The Spurs controlled the pace while Wemby did his thing on both sides of the floor. But, unknown to anyone at the time, they were up against a fully fit Jokic, the most scary version of him yet.
Here's the matchup. Jokic turns inside, blocked by Wembanyama. Jokic got it back and scored. Gordon over to Jokic at the elbow, high-arcing J is pure.
Defensive responsibilities for Stephon Castle. He is simply face guarding Jamal Murray.
Murray into Jokic to Gordon!
What made it more interesting is that Jokic did not try to force his way through it. He stayed in control and allowed the game to develop instead of rushing to solve it. That patience is what kept Denver within reach even when the matchup looked uncomfortable. But on the other side of the floor, Jokic went explosive like we've never seen before.
Champagny on the drive this time, blocked by Jokic!
Moments like that showed that this was not just an offensive battle. Jokic was engaged on both ends, matching the intensity of a game that felt like a playoff test. By the time the fourth quarter approached, the Spurs still had control, but Jokic was about to make them lose it all. By the fourth quarter, Jokic began attacking more decisively, not with speed, but with precision, and Wemby looked helpless for the first time all year.
Really helps him. No better test than at Denver.
Here's the matchup. Jokic, Wembanyama. Jokic squeezes it through. Staring down Wembanyama. On the move. In the lane. Puts it up and in.
He used angles, timing, and footwork to create just enough space, turning what looked like contested possessions into efficient finishes. Then, he raised the level. Now the reads were coming instantly. He was not hesitating anymore. Every move had purpose, and every possession created an advantage for Denver. He manipulated the defense without forcing anything. When San Antonio collapsed, he found the right pass. When they stayed home, he scored. The balance was perfect, and the Nuggets' offense began to open up again. Late in regulation, with the game slipping away, Jokic made the play that kept everything alive. He recognized a defensive mistake instantly and delivered the pass that led to the tying dunk. It was not flashy, but it was the exact read the moment required. Then in overtime, he took over completely. At this point, the difficulty of the shots no longer mattered. Wembanyama was contesting, rotating, and doing everything he was supposed to do defensively, but Jokic had already solved the matchup. And then came the shot that defined the game.
Jokic fading away. Ridiculous!
The Sombor shuffle over the tallest defensive machine the league had ever seen. And then, like the icing on the cake, he did this.
Chewing clock. Jokic now. 2 more.
That was the moment it became clear that the perfect defender did not matter. Neither did the perfect scheme. There is nothing anyone can do. Jokic finished the game with 40 points, 13 assists, and 0 turnovers against one of the best defensive players in the league. No mistakes, no wasted possessions, complete control. That is what makes this version of Jokic different, especially as they prepare for the playoffs. After that win, the conversation around Jokic changed again. The doubts that followed the injury disappeared, and in their place was something more dangerous than before.
And Denver gonna scare you because they got the best player in the league. He's the best player in the league. After I saw what he did to Wemby, he's the best player.
This was a version of Jokic that had gone through the adversity of injury and doubt and came out sharper on the other side. He was no longer just dominating through talent, he was eliminating mistakes entirely. And when a player who already sees the game better than anyone else starts playing mistake-free basketball, the entire league runs out of answers. And as the playoffs approach, that becomes the real problem for everyone else. But there's a pain that comes with that. And if you want to understand it, watch Nikola Jokic Knows the Pain of Being Loyal to Your Team next.